Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. I am Dawn at the lake, and I am glad to be here with you. I just rolled in from my trip to Charleston, South Carolina, and at the end of this video, after we've done our recap, we'll talk about some quilty friends that are not online friends or friends in a book. They are actually real life people that I met on this trip, and I'm excited to tell you about them. But first, let's do our recap. Last Sunday, we did our Slow Stitch Sunday, and that was all about me preparing my travel kit for this trip that I just got back from. And that was a medical trip for me. It was a quick doctor's appointment and just run to Charleston and run back. So I didn't really have a lot of time, unfortunately, but I'll talk more about that in this coming Sunday's Slow Stitching Sunday video. But what that video was all about was about getting the kit ready, the travel kit ready, and what that looked like. Even though I didn't get as much done as I had wished that I had and had hoped that I could, at least I have 6 of the blocks cut out, and I've got experience now on what that looks like. I learned some things about cutting out the templates. So I feel good about how that day went. Our Monday video, of course, was Moda Monday, and in that one I revealed a 6-inch quilt block for Moda Monday, and that's the second week of their quilt along. I love, from finishing that one block, I feel so good about how this quilt is going to go and how beautiful it's going to be. That one 6-inch block kind of is the epitome of what I was really looking for. You can go back and you watch that if you want to see that background fabric that I use and how beautifully it resembles what is her name? Camille Ross Kelly is doing in her shoreline line. So I really enjoyed seeing that block come together. I think what I'm going to do going forward though is I'm going to skip ahead to get caught up with everybody else. I think the 7th week is what everybody else is working on. I'm going to try to do that with my next block. And so I can try to do things on pace with everybody else. So what was the next one? The next one was Tuesday. That is always our Tech Talk. And in that one, I showed you how I use salt to clean my iron. Because in the middle of working on things for forget which quilt it was at the time, and I did not have time to go out to the store to get any cleaning products or to get a new iron. My iron got smudged again and I had to clean it again. And so there's this whole dialogue going on in my head about what's causing this smudge. It's not coming out from within the iron, so it's getting on something, but it's not touched the shirts since it got cleaned from the last time. What I finally derived from that, and believe I'm fairly accurate, is that something from when those shirts were on that wool mat, something got on the wool. And then that got transferred back to the iron while I was ironing. And because when you're ironing, you're using the tip of the iron and the body of the iron, and sometimes the exterior part of it is laying on the wool mat, and that's the part that's been getting smudged. So I think something had just transferred to the wool mat. I hope so. I just need to make sure, I need to take my iron down to my wool mat and just really iron the mat, see how things shake out then. We'll find out. I have not done that test yet because I had to rush to get out of town. And of course, Wednesday was our Comfort in the Waiting, and I'm really enjoying how that's going to shape up. We're doing the French Vanilla Quilt from It's So Emma Perfect 10 book using the Perfect 10 ruler. And I think that's going to go together pretty quickly. I've got to cut out yet my sashing pieces. It won't be too hard to do, and we'll work on that this coming Wednesday. Just stay tuned. I think we'll see that quilt come together pretty quickly. And then the video that was put up today was talking about the Mars quilt and how I plan on handling the fact that I just, whatever, just absent-mindedness about how I started working on my crust with all that red fabric without pre-washing it. Well, admittedly, it's a bad mistake, but this whole channel is about me being vulnerable with you. So I revealed that to you, and we're going to work through it together. And I have a solution, and that is what I revealed in that video, today's video, Thursday, was that as soon as I get all of the crust sewn together, before I sew it onto the body of the quilt, I'm going to wash it. Even if I have to wash it in the bathtub or wash it in the sink, and so I won't agitate it, but I will rinse and rinse and rinse and wash and rinse until all the red ink is bled out before I put it on the body of the quilt. I think that's the best way to go about that. And for a segue into the next section of this video, which is our Friday friends, our quilty friends, I got more red fabric for the Mars quilt. I was running low on some of my favorites and needed some more black and white, needed some more red. So in my mind, I was going to go to a quilt store while I was in Charleston if my friend who drove me there was okay with that, and she was very okay with that. And as luck would have it, since my friend is a knitter, the first quilt store that we found was a quilting and knitting store, and it's called Wild and Woolly. It is on 1212 Chuck Dawley Road, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. It's almost hard to find because its storefront is not real visible from the street that it's on. You have to look for the sign, and then the building is tucked away with the parking in front of it. So there's the road and the parking, and then the building front is off the road enough to where you don't really see it readily. So you have to kind of be observant, knowing that you're about to approach it. It's much easier to find the second time because we did go back today. We went there yesterday and we had to go back there today before we left town. It was just a delightful place. It was just such kindred spirit people running it. Debbie, the owner, and then Sarah, who was helping us yesterday. I just feel like they're people that you could just, you'd want to have at your dinner table on a regular basis. Go out and have tea and coffee and quilt together and just have a good time. Just really lovely people. The shop was just sweet. It's not huge, but it's packing a lot. She's a Denomi dealer, and so she's got a room set up for that. She's got a large section of the place that's dedicated to all knitting, and the other section is all quilts. It's a good, lovely selection of fabrics. They have this Charleston line. I got a fat quarter bundle of, I think it's Art Gallery fabrics that has this Charleston line, which has the magnolias, and it's got rainbow, I forget what they call it, but it's a rainbow road or rainbow houses or something. I'll pull this out to show you a little bit. I love how they package these in these little triangular things. I don't know if that's something they specifically do or if it's from Art Gallery Fabrics, if they do that. I don't want to open it up because I want to stick it back in there. But you can see there's a row of houses in Charleston, downtown. The color of the houses are that of a rainbow. So I'm so tickled about getting these. It's just kind of a keepsake for Charleston, and I'll pull these out and find the right home for them. But also, when we went back today, I picked up, to commemorate the Charleston trip and the Mars quilt that I'm working on, I got a pin cushion from their store. Is that not adorable? Wild and Woolly, use wild. Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, it says on it on both sides. And then it has planets on the back of it. I love that. That is very perfect to set around in my studio. But one wasn't enough because, you always have more than one station in your studio where you need to have a pin cushion. And so I got another one, and this is a dyed fabric that they dyed there on site. They had a beautiful quilt on display made from this fabric. I could have bought a lot of that fabric. It was absolutely beautiful. I noticed these postcards as I was checking out, and I want to bring them to your attention in case you're going to be in the South Carolina area at all. March 15th and 16th, their local guild is having a quilt show. They have one every other year. It's $10 daily or $15 for both days. So you can go to cobblestonequilters.com. See if you can see that. So their sponsors are on the back. I'll leave that right there in case you want to freeze the frame and look at any of that as well. I wish I was going to be there during that time. I do have to go back because, as my medical appointment revealed, I need to go back and schedule a quick surgery to have the screws taken out of the front of my neck. But I get to schedule that at my leisure. It is not going to be first priority. I've got some other things to take care of first. Not the worst thing in the world to go back to Charleston, South Carolina. I just wish it was going to be during those dates, but it won't be. I'm not ready to do my surgery that quickly. There's the Palmetto Quilt Guild. There was a postcard there for them. Later in the month, March 22nd to 24th, there's a quilt. Most of you probably know about this one because this one's I have heard of. It's at Hilton Head. It's at the Hilton Head Beach and Tennis Resort on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. It's a NACQJ judged quilt show. More than 125 quilts on display, vendors, and more. I do not know what that stands for. NA, National Association, maybe? Don't know what the C stands for. Quilters Judged? I don't know. Y'all can correct me. So on Facebook.com, you would find them at Palmetto Quilt Guild or their website, palmettoquiltguild.org. So there's a lot going on in South Carolina when it comes to quilting, evidently. So I told you that the owner of Wild and Woolly was just a kindred spirit and that I could just have her at my dinner table on the regular. Just want to make sure that we all have the contact information there. Their email is contact us at thewildandwoolly.com. And then their website is thewildandwoolly.com. Her name is Debbie Newman. And it was Sari Gamble that we spoke to on yesterday, not today. She wasn't there when we came back by. Lovely people with a lovely shop, just a place where you get sucked into and you don't want to leave. Most quilt shops are that way, but that one just, like I said, felt like you were amongst friends. Had just stepped into someone else's home. Not that it was a homely place, but just that you had stepped into a place that felt really good. Really, really good. She's a lovely person. She did direct us to go to another quilt store on our way back home because we had to go by way of Summerville anyway. So what we did, we went to another quilt store. Let's see if you can see that. I don't know that you can. It is called People, Places, and Quilts, and it is in Summerville. And it was a beautiful building. So the lady, I got her name, and I can't remember it right now. I almost want to say Kim was her name. Let me see if I got a card for her. So I did get a card. It does not have the owner's name on it. I so hate that I did not get her name. However, I would tell you that she was delightful. And she has been in business there for, I think she said 31 or 33 years, something along those lines. She started off with just a little bit of square footage at the storefront, and it just grew and grew and grew. And that storefront is really, really old. I think maybe from 1916. It's a mercantile front. It's on the square down, I don't know if it's on the square, but it's on the corner of one of the downtown streets in Summerville. Really quaint place, really nicely done. It's just a really a nice downtown. Okay, so she's in an old mercantile building with a lovely staircase, and there's all these different rooms, and each room is dedicated to a different function of the store. A really pleasant place to be and to go and explore. You just naturally are drawn to go to the next place. It's very well kept up, fabulous customer service, great selections on fabric. And in both stores, I saw fabrics that I haven't seen in my quilt store. Now, I haven't gone shopping in my quilt store in a little while, so maybe my quilt store has these same lines too. But, there's a lot of different fabric out there. My quilt store is very well equipped, so I'm not saying anything about them. I'm just saying that it was interesting to see the differences, that all of them seem to have their own little feel, their own sense of aesthetics and the sense of what they offer. It seems to fit the people that are working in the area. So I got some reds fabrics to go in the quilt, the Mars quilt crust. We needed some more orange and we needed some more red. It's not all of them. These are fat quarters. So you can see all of these you will be seeing more of. I just did not want to be limited. So I got every possible red that could possibly fit inside that crust. I am really very pleased. And there is a little bit of blue. I got this mostly for my grandbaby's quilt because her father fishes. But I started thinking about it. I might put some of this in the crust because what are we looking for on Mars? We're looking for signs of life. We want to know that some kind of life used to exist there. So we may have to put a little bit of life in the crust of our quilt, of our Mars quilt. And if you look online to see what Mars looks like through the Hubble telescope, you'll see that there's like this haze of blue all over the place. So I did get some black and white because I'm running pretty low on the black and white that I've got in the crust. And then I got these little mini charms. I love mini charm. They make great leaders and enders. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use these lovely bright little squares, but when I do, it's going to be yummy. Kind of reminds you of, candy. It's just bright and fun. So when I do a quilt for my great niece Faith, I kind of feel like these are the colors that hers needs to be in. I know I've been thinking about what her quilt's going to look like, and I did not incorporate the idea that it would have little squares in it, but it might need to. I'm not there yet though. I'm going to be working on the Mars quilt before I get to her quilt. So this was a fabulous week, right? We had a full week of videos, and I got to go into 2 quilt shops out of state in Charleston, South Carolina, and Summerville, South Carolina. And actually the one in Charleston was actually the suburb of Mount Pleasant, which is like basically Charleston. The whole area is just a wonderful experience. It's inspiring to me to see women entrepreneurs. It's inspiring to me to see women who are not just pursuing their dreams entrepreneurially, but they're doing it in a way that feeds their own passions and feeds women around them. Women that are able to take their own passion and take their love of a craft and their love of fellow women and turn that into a business and succeed at that and be able to provide a sense of community. I just, I tip my hat to them. I really do. I love what they're able to do. And if I could do such a thing, it would be like pinch me in my life. That's fabulous. My hat goes off to them. So if you're ever in the area, go see Wild and Woolly. And if you're in Summerville, make sure you go by and see People, Places, and Quilts, Sewing and Fabric Emporium. Here's our address on that one. Can you see that? Am I holding it still long enough? It is 129 West Richardson Avenue, Summerville, South Carolina, 29483, ppquilts.com. And I will tell you that Wild and Woolly has a YouTube channel, so you can follow them on YouTube as well. And please do. I'll link them in the description, and I'll put all this information that I just provided. I'll put that in our description for this video too. I want to thank you guys for watching the videos this week. Those of you who have subscribed, I really appreciate it. Thank you for your patience with me as I have kind of rushed in these last couple of videos so that I could get out the door and get onto my trip. It was a good trip, smooth trip. It was productive, and I'm not intimidated at all that I have to have this little surgery with my doctor, and I've had 5 other surgeries with him. I know the protocol. This surgery will be a walk in the park in comparison to the others, and hopefully it will be the very last one. We're just taking some screws out. My body doesn't like those screws, so we're going to pull them out, yank them out. It was a lovely week for me, and I hope that you can say the same and that you're looking forward to a bright weekend of time in your studio, time with your family and friends, and that it really is an enriching time and it's something that fulfills you. This has been great talking to you again. I've kind of missed talking with you guys this week because I did all of the videos for this week I did before I left town. And so it was kind of weird spending the last 2 or 3 days not talking with you. Even though I was on screen for you on the channel, I was not talking to you and putting up new content, and that was a little weird for me. But we're back on schedule now, and I'm so glad to be back here with you. I'm tired. I'm going to call this a wrap and get some good sleep so that I can get up tomorrow and work on the Slow Stitching Sunday video. I cannot wait to show you my block. It is so pretty. It encourages me to do the rest of them. So that's it, my friends. You can call this video a wrap. You have a great weekend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. That's meant a lot. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. Please do. We're going to have a great community here. In the comments, we're getting some good conversation, and I'd like to see people communicating with each other. If you're a newbie or know a newbie, send them this way, because this is where I'm being vulnerable about what all I don't know, what all I want to know, and then others are coming along and beside me in the comments and giving me tips. That too is a place where a new person could also be learning. And maybe the experienced quilters could enjoy the process too. I would hope so. Thank you again for being here. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.